Hey folks, it's Eric from Support Adventure, and I wanted to make this video about the difference between being an immigrant and being a expat. Because you know that Support Adventure is a company that's very much around this expat idea, and sort of like our world as expats and going into the world of international outsourcing from an expat perspective. So this idea came from one of the comments on one of my YouTube videos on another channel, my Serbia channel, Belgrade Beat. And basically, it was commenting, I bought a house in a village in Serbia, and basically it was commenting on the difference between immigrants and expats and sort of like how us expats think that we're better or whatever. And yeah, I guess there is an inherent sort of snobbiness of moving into a country that has on average lower cost of living than your home country, like mine was Canada, and having more economic power than the locals there, and that sort of expat sort of idea. But it made me seek a little bit deeper into the whole thing and figure out what actually it is that drives us expats versus what actually drives immigration, what drives immigrants. And I would say that the main thing is, are you moving to another country to integrate into that economy for certain economic opportunity as an ordinary worker there? Are you starting at the system at the bottom, the social hierarchy? Are you going there to compete in the dominance hierarchy of the society or not? Because us expats, we're not. We're kind of moving to places where we can have maybe a better life, but it's not like this immigrant mentality, which is I'm going to immigrate to America, Germany, insert country here, and I'm going to work hard to have a better life because the standard of living is better there. So I moved to Serbia when I was 25 years old for the first time, and I've lived here since I was like 31, as my base. And what that essentially means is I moved here not because I wanted to compete in these sort of like hierarchy of Serbian society and start somewhere around the lower middle class and get a job and work my way up. No, it's because I came here because I wanted to be foreign here. I wanted to bring my foreign ideas and make something of my life, which is like a mixture between the ideas I'm bringing and the lifestyle opportunities that this place offered me, right? Because I knew that I wasn't gonna make money on the local economy. Of course, like the default things people do are like teaching English and stuff like that, but that's not like a normal thing. So us expats integrate into the culture much less than immigrants are forced to, because they have to get a job. They have to get a job. They need to, it's probably going to be in the local language. It's probably going to be taking money from local people somehow, or the local economy somehow doing work, whether it's blue collar, sort of like manual labor, or whether it's some sort of office administration white collar job. The whole immigrant thing is you're going to go into that country and you're going to use the system there, and you're going to work your way up in the social hierarchy. And that's kind of how a lot of people do it when they move to places like Canada, where I'm from. And it's an inherently, like for me, I came from a really nice upper middle class background in Canada, where there was no issue with money. There was no issue with, I grew up inherently with the sort of success that many immigrants to Canada would hope that their children would have. So much opportunity. From the age of 16, I went around my neighborhood fixing computers for like, a really good fee. And that's how I developed the confidence I gained from that, and the things I learned is how I developed this business Support Adventure. But I got bored of that. And, like it's a lifetime opportunity for somebody from, a developing country to move to Canada and go up the social hierarchy, and maybe even like it would be a great thing for them to enter at lower middle class, get like a entry level job in an insurance company, bank, or any other industry, like corporate job, and then get that house in the suburbs. My motivation for coming to Serbia was completely different. It was like there's stuff to be learned about life here. I want the experience of this culture. It's not about money, it's about soul and passion. It's about my artistic being and making a lifestyle that is beautiful in some way and artistic in some way, and finding little pieces of humanity in myself and in the culture that Canada just did not activate in the culture and the way that human beings tend to interact with each other there. So that's a completely different motivation. I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but there is a very clear distinction between expats and immigrants. And also in the expat category, you do have people who travel working with international companies and stuff like that, who, what we have in common with them. So I would say the sort of more like, let's call me artistic expats who move to another country, maybe because the cost of living is cheaper, maybe because the culture is inspiring, maybe because they just feel a vibe about the place and they want to be there and it's cool, it's different, they're growing as human beings from being in a different cultural surrounding rather than just the society they grew up in. That's my story. But then you also have in the expat thing, people who, for example, work in embassies, who work in multinational corporations, get sent to be the division head for the opening up of the new corporate subsidiary of whatever in whatever country. And those people fit with us because we have a lot in common of we're coming from a place where we had the ability to live without scarcity. We probably, a lot of the time come from a place like Canada or some country where we had fairly firm footing, and therefore, like a lot of people who are struggling in Canada, they would never think of moving to another country because everybody in Canada is pretty much brainwashed to think it's the best country in the world, right? Well, it might not be the best country in the world if you've been, saddled with student debt, you're getting credit card debt, and you're working for a wage which is barely enough to pay your monthly expenses. It might not be the best place in the world. There might be other options, like maybe even teaching English in Vietnam might be better than that. Who knows? But a lot of people who are born in Canada, who have a life of scarcity, would never think of moving to another country because life beats them down with those the debt and the sort of like rat race grind of working all the time and spending all your money and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't leave much time for reflection about life and travel to other countries and stuff like that to even open the door for the possibility of becoming an expat. And yeah, so, and the people who move to places like Canada often are of the same mentality. They just want to get in there, work really hard, get that house in the suburbs and all that stuff. So when my family moved there in 1951, they were not in that position. They had made some money in the post-war deals of rebuilding Europe, World War I, and they moved to Canada with enough money to live for quite a long time. And they bought a house in Vancouver and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, they weren't expats either. And that's, I think, what gave me such a weird mentality where while I am, the first generation born in Canada, I don't have that sort of child of immigrants mentality where you think that the old world is something so archaic and so wrong. No, the old world did my family just fine. It gave us a value. We were, part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire before World War I, some sort of affluent class of people in that, speaking German, the main language of the empire, and moved to Canada and continued a similar sort of lifestyle, never really had to sacrifice our culture. So this is the other thing. I said that expats integrate less. And the thing that makes immigrants immigrate to countries and sacrifice their culture is the need to fit in, the need to follow the norms of that society in order to get a job and succeed in climbing the social hierarchy, right? So which is better? In my opinion, to be an expat is better, or even to think like an expat. We have lots of people from all sorts of different countries and backgrounds around the world, and we don't discriminate. We just want people who are going to do a good job, who fit with our culture, who are nice to talk to. So, the possibilities are there, but we do encourage you to think like an expat. And to think like an expat is to be firm in your own cultural background and identity and curious about what else is out there. And somehow I feel like to be an immigrant is often, not always, of course, but it's often like somebody who's ashamed of where they're from and the economic circumstances there, and wants to leave that all behind and go to a new place, right? And so the whole thing is like, it's shitty mentality to begin with. It can breed success in a certain way, shape, or form. I understand people who are like fleeing from war and famine and stuff like that, but a lot of places like Serbia, where I live, are not that bad and have a lot of history to be proud of. Yeah, the economy sucks. People here are generally not as good at business as people in Germany or North America or even England, Australia, you name it. But it's not that bad. There's a lot right about this type of place. And once you start thinking like an expat and you are combining the best of different cultures, I mean, this is what I did when I came to Serbia. I wanted to combine the best of my North American culture with the best of this Southern European culture, Southeastern European, Balkan culture. And years later, I can say I'm massively successful in doing that. And if I had the mentality of I had to come here and learn how to behave like Serbian people so that they think that I'm a correct member of their society, no, that I wouldn't have made such a beautiful combined lifestyle of my North American background, my Germanic roots, and the local Serbian, Balkan, Slavic thing. I wouldn't have achieved that in the same way. So being an expat is definitely preferable, and I'm proud of being an expert at being an expat, and I'm proud of all that I've done to consider what's good about different lifestyles around the world, in Thailand and Latin America and Southeast Europe and stuff like that, while still not rejecting what was good about where I grew up, but rejecting the stuff that really sucked in Canada. Like that's a whole other topic. You can search my video on YouTube, which is why I live in Belgrade, not Toronto, which is on my Belgrade channel. So if you just Belgrade, not Toronto on YouTube, you'll probably find it. So yeah, that's it, folks. Expat or immigrant? Which one are you, and what do you think I got the differences correct on this one? Also, the last thing I'll say is that expats tend to be more temporary than immigrants. Immigrants are immigrating for life usually. Expats, we stay as long as it's good, and when it stops being good, we get the hell out of there. So I'm going to get the hell out of here. Bye, guys. Take care.